Hi everyone, I'm Naledi Mashejo and this is my talk on social media brand advocacy. So without further ado, let me just share my screen and we can get going with today's presentation. All right, so today we're going to chat about brand advocacy through social media and how do you achieve that? What is it? And all the details you need to know that would be good for your organization. So just to give everyone an outline, I'm going to start off with the introduction about myself, on myself, and what is brand advocacy, why is it important, and how to identify it, and brand advocacy examples, which I've pulled out for you, and creating a brand advocacy program within your organization, how you'd actually go about that. And we're also going to touch on how to actually incentivize advocates once you actually identify them and have them as part of your program. So, a brief background about me. So, I am the founder of a digital marketing agency called Cherry Republic. So what we focus on is digital marketing. So that would be your social media strategy, graphic design, and website development. I'm also currently on the IAB Influencer Committee, and I've also been part of the Interactive Advertising Bureau, which is the IAB's Bookmarks Awards. So I was actually a jury there. So I enjoy digital and marketing, and this is a space that I currently run a business in. And the business has been running for nearly over 5 years. So exciting times. So let me get started. So I always like to start off with words of inspiration. So I'd like to just remind everyone, your brand culture influences your employee brand advocacy. This will soon make sense once I get into why and how this is also important. So let's start from the top. What is social media brand advocacy? So social media brand advocacy means leveraging the social networks of people who like you and are invested in your continued success. So this can be your customers or your employees. And I think those 2 points are important just to remember because this is an example that I'm sharing over here, which is when people feel connected to your brand and they just like your brand, they will naturally share positive things about your brand without you forcing them to or paying them to. And that's where you essentially want to be. So this is an example over here of somebody on Instagram who is just on holiday and they were posting their favorite drink, which is Coca-Cola. So this wasn't endorsed, but it's really nice to see a post like this about a brand, and the brand actually didn't have to pay them to do so. So social media advocates are people who just genuinely want to talk about your brand, and they exist. You just need to identify them and actually make sure that you're engaging with them. So why is social media brand advocacy so important? So I'm just going to read through the definition as well. Peer-to-peer recommendations are the most powerful advertising tool available. By leveraging existing fans and employees, you can increase your brand awareness, develop strong customer loyalties, and facilitate valuable customer feedback loops. So why that's very important is you don't have to pay for this, but people are actually doing it. So you might as well leverage from that. And like I stated before, a brand advocate doesn't have to be a stranger on the street only, which most are. They can also be people within your organization. So you get people in your company who actually tweet and post and talk about the company after hours or in their social media feed. And this is just them sharing how much they love working there or sharing a product that the company sells. So employees and regular people, it's just good to have both. Okay, so I think the first thing to do is, now that you understand the basic terminology of what a brand advocate is, let's look into how you'd go about identifying one. And here's some nice, I like to keep it simple. So I'd like to say, when you're looking at brand advocates, you want to understand who they are. So that's just understanding, is it an employee, or is it just a customer, or somebody online who just likes what you're doing? Then the next step is to understand, what do they say about your brand. So that's also quite important, because you want to see, like, are they saying they will never switch to anything else because they love your brand, or what are they actually saying about it? Because there's different types of advocates. People can also just say something like, oh, great service, but you want to get a little bit more, like, oh, I love, for example, if it's a shampoo brand, I love this shampoo because I've been using it for 5 years, and I must say I'm not switching because I struggle with dandruff, and this is the brand that I really like. So that person would be more of your brand advocate, because they naturally telling people, this is the issue I had, and um, this is how this brand actually solved that issue. So that's somebody who's your brand advocate. Then you also want to look at where they're actually sharing their content. So this also depends on your brand. Some brands have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So this will vary, but you need to figure out where your brand advocates are, and also just look into how you can actually engage with them. So if your brand advocate is on Twitter, for example, it would be ideal for you to follow them back. And if it's an employee and they're on your Twitter and they're always tweeting the brand, it's good to also follow them back. So it differs because different platforms work differently, but you just want to make the connection. Mm-hmm. And the last thing is, how do people respond to their comments or posts? So that's also something to look out for, because if you get a lot of responses and comments to what the brand advocates are saying, that's good for your brand, and you want to make sure that you're engaging on that. And you also want to still just remain neutral, not to, you don't want to seem like you paid the advocate. You just want it to be a natural, authentic conversation. So that's quite important. So I actually pulled out examples of people who could be brand advocates for. I'm actually going to show you two examples: a customer brand advocate and an employee brand advocate. So I don't know if you're aware of the Motherland Co., which is an amazing coffee brand. They have a couple of branches in Johannesburg, and so this lady actually tweeted them saying, I'm making myself coffee at home instead of buying coffee at my favorite Motherland and Co. So that was really cool. In light of COVID and everything that's happening, she's also explaining that she's social distancing, and now this started a conversation. Now other followers on the Twitter page said, this guy said, don't worry, they said saving makes you rich. So and it was great that the brand actually responded. PS, you can buy beans from us and make your own Motherland coffee at home. So this is quite nice, because they didn't just let that go. They actually had a conversation with the customer, and they also were selling a bit, saying, come and buy more. And luckily, she already said, oh, I know, but no one makes coffee better than John and Charles at the Sturdy Avenue store. So that's also still making sure you're in contact with your advocate and having a conversation with them. And the screenshot over here just shows, I just pulled her profile so you can see she is just a regular customer who just likes the brand. And that's an example of a customer. So a brand advocate in the workspace would be somebody like this example. So this is an extract from the Newsroom Africa, their Twitter page. So they are a news channel and they have journalists that are out on the field every day. And what they tend to do to promote their brand advocacy is um, this journalist actually tweeted the resident tells he doesn't understand why people's homes are being demolished as people have nowhere to go. Lowly eviction. So this is really nice for Newsroom Africa to actually retweet his post, and that also just endorses that what he's saying is true and it's factual. And as an employee, this makes the journalist also feel part of the family, not just in the office, but outside the office. So they will also be willing to share more content that's relevant for the brand. And that's also creating authentic brand advocacy within your within your office and with your employees. And this is an example of the profile. So you can look over here, multi-award winning TV journal. He does a little breakdown on where he's worked, what he enjoys, and you can see he has quite a number of followers. So that's great because some of these people will now actually follow the Newsroom Africa. So it's just good for your brand. Mm-hmm. So once you've established who your brand advocates are, whether that being employee or a customer, you then need to create a social media brand advocacy program. This is important because it's great to have a plan. It's great to identify the advocates, but you actually need to filter them through the organization and have a plan with them. So how you'd start is you go and create a plan to identify brand advocates. Identify whether the brand advocate is an employee or a customer. Once you've done that, establish an onboarding process for the brand advocate. So either maybe you have the marketing team meet with the advocate, or just have a phone call with them and just have a process where you make contact with the advocate and just maybe get some more insights about what they think and just interact with them. So then you develop an offer to incentivize the brand advocates, because you do want them to continue promoting your brand or saying positive things about your organization. But you need to figure out how you're going to go about incentivizing them. And then you will set your brand ROI goals for the program. This is also important because as much as they are sharing great feedback, you also want to understand how can you also use this for your own brand benefit. So you can look into that and figure out how you can make this program work for your organization. Mm-hmm. And then you gotta identify popular topics created by the brand advocates and use those as your core focus. So if they're already speaking about a product or service that you never really looked at, or it is one of your offerings but you haven't highlighted them in a while, it's good to take that and use that to build your campaign, because you also still want to have it as a natural conversation and you don't want to impose too much or make somebody feel like you're telling them what to say. And that is different to brand advocacy. That'll be influencer marketing. Some fun facts. Brand advocates are 70% more likely to be seen as a source of reliable information. This definitely makes sense. I would say, if you think about it, when you go on a holiday, for example, you'll Google let's say, a hotel, and you'll generally look at all the reviews and you'll kind of see what people say. If it's all negative and you just see like, this place is horrible, breakfast is cold, you'll tend to not book at that place. So brand advocates are the everyday people who are writing reviews, or their employees that are writing reviews. So they are definitely seen as more reliable. So now you want to actually look at incentivizing the customers. But this is the tricky part, because a brand advocate is different to an influencer, and you want to draw the line. Influencers get paid or have some form of reward for saying stuff about a brand in a positive light. Brand advocates just do it because they want to. And you want to make those two marketing channels separate and keep them apart. So, how I would suggest you go about it when it comes to customers is, I think you should follow the customer on the active platform, which is the platform that they are writing this content about you. Then engage with their content, but keep it authentic. So if they say they really love this and the reasons why, you're like, thank you so much, and you just keep it natural. Then you can offer them a discount or a reward, but I would say just keep it simple. Don't offer them any money or anything that alludes to you will pay them to say great stuff, because that will definitely lead to influencer marketing, which is different to advocacy. Another factor is brand advocates are 50% more likely to create content that influences a purchase. And with employees, how you would actually run that program, I would say it's so important to look at what platform the employees also contributing their input on, and follow them as well. Then you can actually engage with their content, which they would also like. And internally, you can create a competition or promote brand advocacy, which is create an exclusive prize for the most active employee, but it still can't be a reward in the form of payment. And another fact, brand advocates are 50% more likely to share information than the average internet user. So these are people who just love to give their opinion. So you just want to be there and encourage them to do so. So this is a key fact to just remember. So you just want to keep that conversation flowing. And don't forget, people can see when it's authentic or when it's being paid for. So brand advocates are best marketing resource that you didn't even hire. And that's it from me. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And here's my personal contact email. And you can reach out or look at our website and everything else. Thank you.